Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of ranking different nerf lines. This time it's going to be different because this thing is not really just a line. Yes, I am ranking all of Mega XL, but this is pretty much ranking all of the bigger nerf ammo types that have existed. All the blasters that I could find, really. There are 38 blasters in this list of Mega XL, rockets, the old school Nerf balls, its original ammo. And with that, let's just kind of get into it, shall we? Just all the bigger ammo types. So, let's start off. At number 38 is the slingshot. The slingshot is a blaster from the 90s. It fired balls. It has this little string you pull back, and it pulls back like maybe 2 inches and fires a ball like maybe 10 feet. This thing absolutely sucks, is completely awful. No reason this thing ever should have been made. There's also been a couple reshells of it, which are not on this list because it doesn't need to be, because it's crap. It's 38. Its only saving factor is this version, you could have 3 balls. There's a newer version that only had 2, which is one of the worst blasters Nerf ever created, the one that only shoots 2 balls. Yeah, this thing is awful. Absolutely just terrible. At 37 is the Hulk. This is a hamp blaster. If you do not know what a hamp is, it is pretty much you pull it back, push it forward with all the strength you got, and it fires it out from just the pressure you build from that little push. And this thing is not well made. It's crappy. It's not even nice to hold. Plastic's not great. And like I said, this thing, it does not look comfortable to hold at all. Like, no room for your hand. Where are you even supposed to hold it out the front? It's just not a good design, and I don't like it. And it's hamp fed. And it's hamp. Hamp just doesn't work well. This does fire rockets, but this is the worst thing they ever made that fired rockets. At 36 is the Missile Blaster. A very good name, Nerf. This thing is very tiny. It's another hamp. You pull it out, push it forward, it fires this ammo type that is only good with this blaster. These little tiny rockets, they look like blazing bow rockets and stuff like that, big bag bow arrows, but it's just a smaller, very small version. This is pocket sized. That's why I put it at 36, because it's small, compact, still usable if you need a rocket. Whip this thing out, push it forward, and hopefully you hit something. Overall, it's still not great. At 35 is the Tri-Strike. We are talking about its missile. This thing is pretty cool how it works, because it has a stock and that top thing that's connected by a pipe. It's still hamp fed. How it works is you pull out the stock, push it forward, and it will fire. But what you can do is you can unconnect the stock and the actual blaster and connect them together to have a blaster apart. But you can also put it onto any blasters like this. And it's very interesting how it works. It's fun. Does it work that well? No. But it works somewhat. Cool idea. Didn't really work that well. The stock is a very nice stock, though. And yeah, just another hamp blaster. Not much else to say. Fires the Demolisher rocket. But this one, you can just take it apart. That's about its interesting factor. At 34 is the Blastomatic. This thing is the second blaster Nerf ever released. How this works is you pull it back, push it forward, fires a ball at the front. You can fit, I think, about three balls into this guy. You push it out, push it forward, fires, makes an interesting sound, and yeah, another hamp blaster. The second hamp blaster ever. But it's interesting. But another hamp blaster, fires balls, in an internal magazine. That's about all we got with this one. we're just moving through these, aren't we? 33 is the reactor. The reactor holds 6 balls in an internal magazine, still hamp fed, because you pull it out, push it forward, fires a ball. Doesn't fire it well. None of these fire well. Hamp blasters just don't, especially the ball ones. But you have 6 rounds. You have a handle. You have a pretty nice foregrip, actually. I've taken the foregrip off of this guy and just put it on blasters because I like it so much. But yeah, overall, it works. It's decent. Not the best. You can find these all over the place at their stores. Just talk to Beret. He has like 30 of these. But they're fine. I could definitely wield this on the field, that's for sure. 32 is the Fortnite rocket launcher. This guy is something. It's big, still a hamp. Handles are terrible, but it does look kind of cool. I love the face on it. So that's why it gets a little bit of higher up than the other ones. And it's decent for a hamp blaster. Not terrible, not great. It's better than all the hamps before it. But it's alright. The handles are terrible. It has a fake trigger. Like, nerf, get rid of the fake triggers. You don't need that. But just another hamp-fed rocket launcher. As always, what brings it to 32 is the shell. At 31 is the Thunder Blast. The Thunder Blast is the first, like, rocket launcher one that was hamp-fed that came out. And this one has 2 handles, no triggers. It's another hamp. You load a rocket in it, you pull it out, push it forward, fires a missile. The reason why this is 31st is because the stock holds 2 extra rockets, so 3 total onboard capacity. That's why it's 31. It's just another hamp that holds rockets. It's decent. It's fun. You can also put this one on your shoulder with how the stocks works. It's kind of made for it. So this is actually a pretty fun little rocket launcher to use. At 30 is the ball bazooka. This thing holds 3, 6, 9, 12 balls in another internal magazine fed. Also hamp fed, but this one you pull it from the back handle, you pull it out and push it forward to fire a ball. It's not great. It's very creaky. This is another really, really old blaster in the 90s. But it's interesting. It works. The handles are fine. And every time you fire it, the cylinder rotates. So it does rotate on its own. 12 balls. Interesting, to say the least. I had one. Broke it. It is a very old blaster. Don't push it too hard. But it's definitely fun, to say the least. So, another hamp fed, 30. Nothing much else to say. 29 is the pulsator. Everyone knows this thing by the commercial. This thing, 2 tubes of internal magazine balls. And how this one works is another hamp fed. The handles are terrible on this guy, but every time you push the hamp, it will fire a ball. You push the back handle, I believe. Yeah, it's a back handle. And this thing's big for what it is. Push it back, push it forward, barrels move, and fires a ball. So it is cool looking when it fires and has decent capacity, but nothing else to say. 29 because of its commercial. Probably some of the worst handles Nerf ever released, just to let you know though. 28 is the Fortnite GL rocket launcher. This thing holds 6 rockets, the biggest capacity for rockets anywhere. This thing is a hamp fed. It has a faux trigger. The stock is too short. And worst of all, when the rockets fire, it hits the barrel on the way out. So they're inaccurate. So, another hamp fed, 6-round cylinder. Very big. Just doesn't work well because it just hits the barrel. The rockets hit the barrel on the way out. and it's just not good. It's just not great, to be honest. It was a big disappointment. So 28. 27 is actually a really surprising one. The Shark Bite. The Shark Bite is probably the best Hamp nerf I've ever released because it actually has good seals in it. It's not great at any means, but it does work. Like before, you load around, pull it out, push it forward, fires. Handle's pretty nice. No trigger, like always, because it's Hamp. That's how it should work. And overall, this one actually is the best Hamp Nerf has. So if you want a Hamp Blaster, you get your hands on this guy. And the colors are also neat. But that forward grip on the front is kind of weird. It was an add-on. It's just there. Easy to cut off, though. It does look weird, though. But, yeah. Another Hamp. 27. At 26 is the Blasta Ball. This is the very first Blaster Nerf ever made. This pipe that is a Hamp. You put a ball in the front, you pull it back, push it forward, it fires a ball. The reason that this thing is 26th is because the sound this thing makes when it fires a ball is like nothing you will ever hear ever again. This thing sounds awesome. I love the sound of this guy. No blaster can match the sound of the Blasta Ball because it's just the perfect thoop sound, and it's awesome. That's the only reason it's 26. It's a one-shot ball blaster, so it's pretty dang bad. First Blaster Nerf ever released, though. At 25 is the Blazing Bow. This is a look at a different ammo type. It fires longer arrows now, and how this one works is another Hamp, kind of. It does have a spring in it, so it makes it a lot better. This is definitely a really good blaster to use. You pull it back, and you just release it because there's a spring in it, so there's no pushing it forward. Just pull it back, release, and it'll fire an arrow like a bow. And it's fun. It's interesting. Kind of has my name. My name is interesting, but overall, I like the flames on it. It's good. It's just a bow. Nothing much else to say. Just a bow. Has arrows. Onboard capacity. It's pretty nice. At 24 is the Master Blaster. This thing holds onboard capacity, internal magazines, ball blaster that holds, I think, 6 balls. And this thing has a metal rod going all the way through it. And it's cool. I think this guy, you pull it back, it fires the ball. You push it forward, it fires a ball. So it's do, 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 do. And this thing is very well made. Another blaster from the 90s. A lot of these, sorry, I missed a few of these that are from the 90s. But yeah, overall, this one's actually pretty fun. And it's big. It's way bigger than this scale. This thing's massive. I would love to get my hands on one of these. This thing would be fun to wield on a field, just to let you know. So, for that, very well made. Metal parts, 24. At 23 is the Bowen Arrow. This is the first bow Nerf ever made. Why this is ahead of the Blazing Bow is because it just has a longer draw. That's about it. So there's a little bit more power you can get out of this guy than the other one. This has the original long arrows. But yeah, another Hamp with a spring in it. So you just pull it back, release, fires the arrow. Nothing much else to say. I do like the pink in it, though. It's very nice. Handle's amazing, though. That handle to pull it back is pretty dang nice. 22, here we go. The first Mega XL Blaster, the Big Rig. Big Rig, spring powered, fires one dart at a time, has 2 extra darts, so it has 2 dart holders on it, so holds 3 total. You pull back the massive slide, push it forward, pull the trigger, fires a dart. Why this is 22? It's because the handle is just way too small for this. I don't know what Nerf was thinking. It is the worst Mega XL Blaster by far. But when you pull the massive slide back, which the massive slide is pretty cool, you can just nick your hand on it. It's terrible because the handle's way too small for this thing. The handle needs to be way bigger. Just because of the handle alone, this thing sits its place at 22. This thing does not deserve higher. At 21 is the Aerostorm. The Aerostorm is another... No, this is spring powered. Is it? I'm not sure. But how it works is you pull it back, push it forward, fires an arrow. Yes, there's no spring. This is another hamp. But yeah, just a lot of arrows, a lot of onboard capacity. You pull it back, the cylinder rotates, push it forward, fires an arrow. It's an arrow storm, so just a ton of arrows come out, rapid fire. And it is pretty fun. This thing's fun to use, I can tell you that. But yeah, very enjoyable. 21. Another, this thing's also from early 90s, vintage. 20 is the first air-powered blaster, the Mega Missile. Mega Missile, you throw a missile on it, it's like a pistol. You pull out its pump, which is literally like half an inch. So you have to just go back and forth really fast, like 120 times. And then you pull the trigger, and it fires a rocket decently. These things are weird. They're okay. But it's air pressure, so it is better than the hamps. But yeah, overall, it's alright. It's a pistol that fires a missile. So if you need it, you can. But reloading this thing is not fun because of the amount of pumping you have to do. This is also Adventure Force. Busby, of course. 19 is the Atom. The Atom is also a ball blaster, and that is the original Nerf ball right there. You put a ball in the front, it primes it already by putting the ball in there, and you pull the trigger, and it fires about 8 feet. But this thing is just so small, so compact to fire a big ammo type like that. It's worth it. It's fun. This is the smallest thing on this list that fires a big ammo type like that. And it doesn't fire it far, but it is worth it. Like, I could definitely have this in my gear. It's fun. It's nice. I like it. It's just a small blaster that has a cool gimmick of when you put the ball in it, it already primes it. So pull the trigger, it's ready to go. And the handle is actually not too small for it, crazy enough. 18 is the Buzzsaw. The Buzzsaw holds 3 balls that you load in the top. Tube, it is literally just a tube, and you pull it back, and that starts revving it. And you push it forward, pull it back. You keep doing that over and over again until you get the flywheel moving fast. Then you pull the trigger, and you fire them. The longer you wait, the slower it will get because, you're not pulling it back anymore. You will have to keep doing it. Keep pulling that rod back and forth, the blue thing on the back, to get this thing moving. This thing is one of the original flywheelers, I know that. But yeah, semi-auto ball blaster. Can't really go wrong. This thing is pretty nice. The handle is a bit strange though. It's thin in some places that I don't enjoy. At 17 is the original Ripsaw, one of the only black Nerf blasters that Nerf ever released. The difference is the flywheel is actually smaller. And yeah, that's about it. This one is easier to modify. Just to let you know if you ever want to do that. But yeah, same thing. You pull it back to rev it up, back and forth, getting that motor moving, and pull the trigger, the fireballs. Holds 3 like the other one. At 16 is the Berserker. The Berserker is another air pressure blaster. The big handle on the back, you pull that back to pump it up. You pump it back and forth a couple times, and that big rocket in the front is ready to go. You pull the front trigger, that little thin one, and it'll fire that rocket out. And this thing has a pretty decent air tank in it, so that rocket's going to be moving. And it also has suction tip darts, but suction tip darts are it's okay. The rocket's what you're really here for. At 15 is the cyclotron. Sorry, I'm not good at names. Holds. Pretty sure this thing holds 6 or 5 balls that you throw in there in this tube, and you connect the tube on there. Spring loaded. You put that thing. It has one of the most beautiful stocks, also one of the weirdest stocks ever. I don't know if you can call that stock, but you put that right into your arm. You grab that crank. You make a full rotation with that crank, and it fires a ball. So you just crank that thing off and fire those balls out at pretty decent speeds. Still just a ball blaster, so they won't fire that far. But overall, this thing is really fun to use, and I want this thing so bad. I want that crank blaster. It's just hard to find one with that tube. But yeah, this thing is fun. Really fun. Still doesn't fire that far, though. Because, you know, ball blaster. They never fire far. Not the ball ones. At 14, it is the big bad bow. Everyone knows. Sorry. Everyone who grew up in the mid 2000s knows this guy. This thing is awesome. This thing is spring powered. So how it works is you pull the blaster apart, and it's primed. You pull that trigger in the back, and it fires an arrow. Fires an arrow pretty dang well because it is a Springer. Bow arms and bowstring, completely unnecessary. You can actually cut those off if you like. And 2 extra rockets on it. And this thing has power. This thing's pretty nice. Rear handle is pretty interesting. It's not great. Front handle is, though. And there's also a scope on it that is completely useless. You would never use it. But Springer, sort of a bow, and it works well. This was actually one of my very first modifications ever. 13 is a 1995 crossbow. This thing fires the old school megas and the rockets. So how this works is you pull in the stock, you pull back that green bar, that cocks it. It's a spring powered blaster, and this thing's a powerful Springer, that's for sure. You pull the trigger and fires an arrow pretty dang well. And yeah, just a very, very nice shell. Very well known blaster. 90s blaster. Very nice. Fires 2 types of ammo even. But we're focusing on the rockets. And the shell is beautiful. This thing is so comfy, to say the least. The only gripe I have it is the trigger. I don't really like the trigger pull. But everything else is awesome. It's a nice blaster, to say the least. But the bow arms are completely useless again. You don't even need those. At 12 is the other Mega XL blaster in the line, the Boom Dozer. Boom Dozer holds 6 Mega XLs with a massive shotgun style prime. Beautiful handle on this guy. Beautiful handle. Even maybe too big even. And a stock attachment point. Issues with this guy is it just doesn't fire the Mega XL rounds that strong at all. It just kind of lobs them. It's not great. I had this thing and it just wasn't. It looks impressive, but its power is just not there. That's why it takes 12th. It's another Springer. 11th is the Thunder Blast Ball. This thing holds a ton of balls that is air pressured. The little the purple handle on the front, you take that, you pull it out down the tube, you pump it up, internal magazine, so you just load the balls in, you pump it up, you pull the trigger to fire 1 at a time, or on the back, you see that little switch thing? If you switch it and pull the trigger, it will fire all the balls at once. So, a ball shotgun, which is really dang cool. The only issue is this is one of the rarest blasters Nerf has to offer, because they break and there's not many left. But this thing looks awesome. It works. It's fun to use. And yeah, semi-auto balls, full or just a shotgun blast is just fun as heck. It's awesome. 10 is the Supermax 5000. So coming in just at 10th, squeezing by the last one. So the Supermax 5000 is another air pressure blaster, but this one is pretty dang cool because it only takes 3 pumps to fill this thing, and it has some pretty good pressure in it with only 3 pumps. And it holds 3 different types of ammo, and 2 of them are big ammo. It has an kind of coupler system on the front that holds 1, which is the main one on it right now, which holds 3 balls in an internal magazine, which fires, they're fine. But the rockets, switch it out, put the rocket one on, the rockets fire pretty dang nicely. Air pressure just works better, it seems. And this thing, very awesome. Air pressure, rockets fire nice. And this trigger pull is a beautiful trigger pull. This is my favorite sounding trigger pull because it's a very big snapping sound when you pull that trigger. It's very nice. At 9 is the Ultimate Missile Blast. This is a blaster that you're supposed to connect stuff to it to complete the set. 3 blasters connect, I believe, but we're only talking about this one. You put a missile on the front of it, you grab that back part, you pump it up. It's very square, so the handle's not that nice feeling, but this thing will fire a demolisher rocket over the damn mountains. This is powerful. This has so much power in it, and for a rocket launcher, it's up there. It's awesome. At 8 is the final Mega XL blaster, the Double Crusher. This was the best Mega XL blaster they released. Holds 2 in its 2 barrels, Smart AR, or the 2 in the stock. And this thing's prime is so beautiful. I did a 100 dart challenge video on this, and its prime was so smooth and fast. I couldn't even keep up with reloading it. It was so fast. Handles awesome, triggers awesome. You can even take the stock off if you open it up just a little, so you can make it even smaller if you like. But yeah. And this thing fires these rockets, Mega XL, at pretty decent FPSs. Better than everything else. Not great, but better than the other options. And it's fun and useful. The shell's nice. I like the ergonomics of this guy. Spring powered. Nothing much bad to say about it. So it claims 8th. At 7th is the Blastzuka. You should know what the Blastzuka is. This thing is from Air Warriors. You load a rocket on the front. Pretty much a demolisher rocket, but Air Warriors version of it. You pump it up in the back. You push that button. And this air tank is so dang powerful. This thing will clear the mountains. This thing will send that rocket out there, and it's going to hurt whoever hits it, because this thing is fun. The one thing you have to look out for if you sling this, because at my last war, someone had this guy and had it slung on them. They kept firing it because the button was pushing into their back, and it would just release and fire the rocket. But it is a really cool thing, and you should just pick one to just get this thing's air tank, because this thing packs a punch. At 6th is the Wild, this thing. This thing has a big air tank in it. Don't even know where this comes from, but it is pretty cool, because you pump it in from the back, it's air pressure, but the pump is also the stock, and the handle is all the way in the front. So it's pretty pretty comfortable to actually, shoulder this guy. And it fires these weird rockets, which are weird, but this thing still fires a demolisher thing and all that. It has this iron sights that don't help. And the air tank is pretty dang good in this thing. The reason why I put it above this guy is the ergonomics are a little bit better, to say the least. That's just how I feel. And yeah, that's about this weird thing. At 5 is this guy, the Supermax 1500 Rocket Edition. The rarest blaster Nerf has to offer. We know of 3 that exist in the hobby, and I've only seen 2 that's been passed around the hobby. 1 is still unknown. So, rarest blaster Nerf has ever seen. You put rockets on the front of it, you pump it up, you pull the trigger to fire, pump it up again, pull the trigger, fire another rocket. Pretty much how it works. Air pressure works well, but this was not supposed to be released. But a few models just got out there, so it became the rarest blaster Nerf has to offer. And it's just an air pressure rocket blaster. Like, what more do you need? Fires rockets hard, that's all you need. At 4 is the Big Blast. There's nothing much to say. You should know what this guy is. Load a rocket in the front, demolish your rocket, pump that thing on the back, which is also counts as its stock. You shoulder it. Very nice ergonomics. You pull the trigger, and insane air tank. That thing's gonna blow anything away. If you get hit by a rocket by this guy again, it's gonna hurt. So yeah, insane air tank, good pressure. That's why this thing's 4th. At 3rd is the final ball blaster on the list. The Ballzuka MP 1500. This thing is an electric ball blaster that I think holds around 12 to 15 balls. You load them all in to that little thing on the side. You push that green piece of plastic back to shut it. And you just think, you just flip a switch to get this thing revving. Or you pull the trigger slightly, I don't remember, to get this thing revving. Then you pull the trigger to fire balls at semi-auto power by electricity. You have to have batteries, though. It's battery powered. But yeah, just firing these big balls semi-auto with this massive thing. This thing's so big and so heavy. But it's fun. It's awesome. For a big ammo, flywheels. What's better? At 2 is the Titan, if you can believe it. Titan, insane tank. It fires a massive rocket. Like, if you think of a rocket launcher in Nerf, the first thing that should come to your mind is the Nerf Titan. This thing's just it. This is exactly what you think. You grab that thing on the back, you pump it up, or it's how it's designed for a kid. You put it on the ground, and you pull it by its handles and pump it up. This thing can also hold 2 extra blasters on it, but we're not talking about those. We're talking about the massive missile on the front that launches, and this thing flies. It makes a good thud sound when it comes out of the barrel. Awesome, amazing, doesn't get much better. What could possibly be number 1, though? Number 1 is the Ultimator. The Ultimator is spring, but this is tension spring. And this thing has recoil. Yes, this thing has actual recoil in it. This thing holds 2 big rockets, like the Demolisher, just slightly smaller, and has onboard capacity of 1, so that's why it beats out the Titan. You grab that lever on the back, you crank that thing with its terrible whine sound, and you keep cranking it. Then you shoulder it, you pull that trigger, and it's going to doing and fire that thing pretty dang well. Even though this thing's tension powered, it fires amazingly. And with that, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you had a good time. Hope to see you next time.